now we're going to do overlay networks and overlay services. And we can do things like versioned transactions, we can have specialized nodes, we can have things look for specialized minted addresses and all sorts of fun things. The core of this is effectively nodes, real Bitcoin nodes, miners will get everything. Why? Because they want to get paid. Commercial services. I mean, capitalism. Goods, services, people wanting money, competition, all that fun stuff. So in describing a overlay network, fun little diagram here, what we end up with is levels of network. Not necessarily all connected the way this one is, where all the blue and the red and everything like that are connected, but more like this funky little thing here, where we have the miners in the center, and then we have different layers of things. So imagine now that we want to set up some sort of new network structure. Remember, we have one or two sort of IP addresses available for things like multicast for people to join. Anyone remember how many addresses we have? So, yeah. And 8 of those are then allocated, 8 bits of those are allocated for multicast. And if we even grab a slash, like a 40-bit address range, which you can get bigger if you really wanted to, as part of our multicast address group, and we have that so that people can allocate, we could have about 1.3 billion different services that we could offer. I'm sure even Google can't think of that many things to try and flog off to people for ads. So let's think of this. What sort of things can we do? We've got messaging. So let's imagine that, not like Twitter, maybe we want to have a semi-private group-based messaging service. When people are online, they respond. So let's start with something like not Twitter, because we're not going to store all the messages, only the people who are online and communicate directly. So we want to get rid of search later, so 20 years down the track, people aren't searching. New type of application. I'm going to teach you how to do this and flog off money to get Silicon Valley to give you a whole lot of money for no purpose. All right, we have multicast. We have our billion address ranges so that we have enough for everyone who might join up to my service, even if it's every person on Earth and their goldfish, to have a wide range of possible addresses as we go. Now, imagine for, say, each possible group that anyone can sign up for on my service that gets filled out. We now have network broadcasts from the nodes. You don't want to search the nodes because it's going to be complex. The node structure is one way. It's like basically a yellow pages or white pages. If you look up in the white pages, it's the same as looking up transaction ID. You find, well, basically transaction ID, address, information, stuff. You look up the white pages, you get last name, first name, stuff. On the other hand, if you want to look up who lives at number 7 Oak Road, blah, 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 it's rather difficult. Doing a search on the entire sort of global telephone system would take you a little while. It's not indexed that way. So nodes, you don't want to index them that way. But we can have our network structure here, and we could build something like saying, when people are in line, they connect to other people. Remember some of the things we've already covered, like send, NDP, etc., for finding nodes, for group membership. Now imagine you join this service and you come in there, and provably it can be private but linked to your ID, so that we can kill trolls off permanently if they keep causing problems. But We want it so that only people who are live in part of the communication are there, just because we want to be difficult and say these things that way. It's a little bit different than something like Twitter. Twitter, it's there for searching. WhatsApp, central server sends it. But now I send out, and this side of the room, maybe they've all joined up and they're live on a multicast group. If I send out a message, it will hit them. You guys don't get it. If you think about this for a while, there are all sorts of reasons why you might want to make broadcast groups, not just Twitter, WhatsApp, Telegraph, communications, banking applications, SCADA, Internet of Things, machine control. But in this little example I'm going to walk you through on how to make a different type of social media company, this side of the room now receives information that could be linked and indexed on Bitcoin. And we could actually hash it, not put every part of the communication in there, but store periodic hashing of what is said, so that any communication can be proven later. But you guys don't get it. Don't want to talk to you because, well, you're on the wrong side of the room. These guys, everything goes to all of the ones who were logged in. Now, none of it's stored on the blockchain, only the hash. Anycast. Who can tell me again what Anycast does? Closest. Does it need to be my company if I'm running this? Do I need to run an Anycast, like forwarding node? Do I have to do it all? Here's this wonderful peer-to-peer thing. Not the crap, modified, mangled, eaten by a cow and then shat out version of peer-to-peer that we call Bitcoin BTC. It's not really Bitcoin. But peer-to-peer. You guys, you're now peers. Your role in my application, in your group that you've decided to be in, your peers. These guys aren't. They might be on the same thing in the group that they're in. They're using whatever we call this application. But you're not peers. You guys are. You now can send and receive. Now I want you to think for a moment. Only those of you who are online will get the message, right? Multicast. All right, you in the front, you're not connected because you're on E and in Britain and, well, there's a building somewhere, obviously blocking you because, well, you take down all the buildings and everything works. Yeah, damn cities having buildings. You get back in range. You want to do updates. What do? So, if you're going to get updates, and you've got a group here, right? These guys. He's the closest. Anycast. One of these guys. Not one at the back because, well, don't want to talk to you. But how do you know the transaction's good? How do you know that he hasn't changed it? Well, right now, yes. But he could have written something else down and cheated. Yeah, and we've got this blockchain thing, right? So all of your communications could actually be summed up. And you know how much network infrastructure I've just paid for from Google and Amazon and Microsoft? Zero. I have not had to actually use Amazon services or Google services or Microsoft Compute at all. I'm wondering why they hate me. They don't seem to like my ideas. But you guys, see the number of your group here? What happens, how many of you think that most of the time there'll be at least one of you online somewhere in a group this size? Generally speaking, this is the modern world, isn't it? If you have multiple devices, your phone, how many hours a day do you exist off the internet right now? Anyone more than an hour? No. I mean, I have periodic times off the internet because sometimes Swiss Air don't give internet services because they're bastards. It's like going back into the 90s. Even in the 90s there were internet on planes. Yeah. Anyway, the real world, where people figure out that you can stick an antenna on the damn plane, like even Wizz Air, I think, even that they charge you. I mean, we're online. So occasionally we'll be offline for a few hours. You guys are in a group. I know who you are. And I don't even need to trust that you're going to lie or not lie to me, because blockchain, hash, can't cheat. Easy. So what I now have is a system where, as long as the group wants to keep information, it can exist. If you guys all want to disappear and close the group, you can as well. And if you close the group and stop any updates or anything like this, what's searchable? Nothing. So if you want to create Twitter that has right to be forgotten and basically store your own information but turn off the service, go for it. So if I want to make sure that this goes out to a wider range, and this group of people over here, you want to share with them. Can you share selectively? Do you need to send everything that you've ever said? That hash, if it links to only a communication at a time, can you provably say something and prove this person said, that person said, that person said? Share an image that's saved? Should be able to, right? Send the transaction, show where it is on the blockchain, give a Merkle proof, send it to them. This group, if I send it to one of you now, and you're all in a group, and you all can share, what happens? I know, lunch, terrible, all the rest, but we get to answer. We're allowed to. What happens? It propagates. So, if we want to make groups that hold information, we can. And what do you think you can disseminate over this sort of group? What is a web page? Zeros and ones. What is a Word file? Zeros and ones. Telegram message. Zeros and ones. Streamed music. DVD. Everything we have zeros and ones.